What's going on, YouTube? Ferocity here. I hope you guys are doing well. I often talk about Call of Duty's greed and how I think it's the downfall of their franchise. However, they kind of pale in comparison to sports franchises when it comes to video games because sports games are all fluff and absolutely zero substance, and they release every single year. There is a large difference between what Call of Duty does for annual releases and what a sports franchise will do for an annual release. At least Call of Duty has three distinct development teams that work on every single Call of Duty game. Whether it's Sledgehammer Games, Infinity Ward, or Treyarch, they all work together but simultaneously all also working on their own projects. Whereas if you compare that to a franchise like 2K or to Madden, it's one development team that is releasing a brand new game every year. So not only are they trying to maintain the current game, they're also making changes for the next one. And that is why we see such gradual changes, if any, year over year. Yet, we see unbelievable revenues in sports franchises, whether it's Madden or FIFA or 2K or MLB. All of these franchises make a ton of money. And then you have the NHL franchise that makes, whatever. It's nothing crazy or spectacular, but it still makes money in its own right. And it still follows down the same process. It still fails to deliver a innovative experience year after year. Yet these companies are making money hand over fist, and it feels as if they just have us hooked into buying the next game every single year, even though we know nothing's going to change, even though more and more people are speaking out about the quality drop off year over year, about how no changes are being made. I think of the NHL franchise and how many times we've asked for GM Connected. It still hasn't come back. It was in 2 games, and it has never come back. Look at the Madden franchise mode. How many times have changes been asked for there and they've fallen on deaf ears and nothing has been done? Yet every year they talk about how they've made it innovative, and they haven't. There's nothing innovative in sports games anymore. I imagine sports games to be so much more realistic, so much more in depth, so different than what they are today. But they are just glorified greed pack open simulators now. That's all they are. The gameplay is more or less boring. It's nowhere near as fun as it used to be, especially in Madden or NHL. I can't really talk to 2K because I don't play that nonsense of a game. Why do you have season pass in a sports game? Are you just that greedy, 2K? Like, I get you have one sports franchise and that's all you have to draw greed from, but you have like one of the best ones, one of the ones that's going to generate the most money. It's not like you're stuck with hockey. You at least have basketball, which has some of the most marketable players in the world, and yet you still make a terrible game year in and year out. I just don't get it. I think that sports players, sports gamers need to demand more from these developers, and I think it's time to move away from the annual release cycle. You make enough money. Delay the greed. Allow your game to actually grow over the course of several years. Allow the development team to develop a game over several years so that we can see innovations, evolutions to the gameplay that we just don't see nowadays. There's certain evolutions in NHL, for instance, that have taken like 6 or 7 years to fully master, where in reality it could have been a 2 or 3 year development cycle. But because they're forced to release a new game every single year, only by their own mandates, the community wouldn't be upset if you guys didn't release a game every single year. I think they'd support the games even more. Like, that's one of my biggest gripes with Ultimate Team is you're expecting me to put all of this time, all this effort, all this money into a game that in 12 months won't matter. None of that hard work, none of that money, none of that time gets reinvested back into the game. I get like a few points so I can get useless packs that get me absolutely nothing when the next game comes out. But again, I'm expected to spend another $70. Take my money. All you guys do is take, and you never give back to the community. You never make the games better. I would be ashamed if I was part of these development teams. Because if I had the opportunity to work on a sports franchise, whether it's Madden or 2K or MLB, honestly, MLB is probably one of the better ones if I'm going to be completely honest. But either way, I would take so much pride in that. I would push that we don't have to develop a game every single year. Imagine the strain that you're under, the crunch that you're always under to release the next game. No wonder they cannot innovate the game. No wonder the games can't get better year over year because they're just constantly being overworked. No wonder game-breaking glitches are always in every single sports game, most notably Madden, because these guys that are developing the game have no time to iron out the quality. It is all about fluff with no substance, and that's the issue with sports games right now. I remember imagining the landscape for sports games back in like 2009, 2010. I had an absolute blast with some of those games back in the day, thinking what would have been, what could have been when I was moving into my 30s. Imagining what a Madden 22, a Madden 23, a Madden 24 game would have looked like, would have delivered such an immersive experience. Unfortunately, Madden does not deliver an immersive experience. It delivers a disappointing one. Same thing goes with every sports simulation game. It's a disappointing experience. It could be so much better. It could be so much more in depth. It could be so much more feature dense. But unfortunately, it's all surface level. It's all about play now. It's all about ultimate team and like a franchise mode that has no depth to it. A be a pro mode that has very little depth to it. A linear storyline that isn't really about creating an immersive experience. It's just trying to throw a new feature in there so people can get invested. And I've fallen for it in the past, I'm going to be completely honest. But it's all surface level changes. There's nothing there substance-wise. Again, like I said earlier, it's all fluff. It's all there to try to suck you in. Anytime they bring in a new feature, it's probably a feature they've already had in the past. And they just bring it back. I do not understand what we're doing here with sports franchises. I'm taking a stand against them. I'm boycotting them. I don't think it's fair that these communities continue to get completely shafted year in and year out, and it's just not fair. There's so many dedicated fans that deserve more. And honestly, if you're somebody that invests a lot of time into these games, if you're somebody who loves the sports franchises that they play, love watching sports, love playing sports, want this simulation experience, you should expect more from your video games. It's the same argument I make with Call of Duty. The expectation needs to be higher, and unfortunately, it's just not. People will buy it because it says Madden. And companies like 2K or EA Sports understand this. So they put minimal effort in. They don't reinvest the money that they make off the community to ensure the game is at the utmost quality. Because they don't care about doing that. They don't care about delivering the best experience. They care about making the most money. And that's the problem. There's too many greedy people in video games right now. There's not enough people that want to create the best experience for those who play their games. It's all about greed, and it has to stop. I'm getting so sick and tired of seeing franchises that used to be about creativity, that used to be about pushing the envelope, become absolute greed fests. They're all about the money, that are all about what you can purchase, about consumables, and not about the quality of the game. Look at the quality. It's just absolutely dropped. It's so disappointing. And honestly, I'd love to have some competition in the sports space. I hate these exclusivity deals. It allows these companies to be complacent. It allows these companies to not try to push the envelope, not be innovative. Time for competition to return to the sports franchise genre. Every single sports game should have multiple different development teams working simultaneously to see who can be the best. But unfortunately, we're stuck with absolute monopolies in every single sport except maybe FIFA at this point in time. So maybe soccer games are better. I'm not really sure. But that's all the time I have for today. That is today's rant. I just decided to go off on Madden and these sports franchises. I'm just sick of it, and I'm not going to stand up for it. I just don't have time for it anymore. But that's all I have for you today. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this down below in that comment section. And as always, guys, thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button. If you want to see more videos from me, please hit that subscribe button. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.